I'm so excited to be here today to talk about this important topic, the power of no, because I think it is much needed. So whether you're a PA or not, I am confident that some of the tips that I'm going to be sharing with you today is going to help you manage your workload and take back control of your time. We have about 25 minutes together. And to kick off, I want to tell you a little bit about myself and what qualifies me to speak on this topic. So my name is Dela Amray, and I wear several hats. I started my career in management consulting and then moved on to become a business analyst where I worked with various organizations such as Accenture, BSkyB, and in the corporate space, I have about 21 years of work experience. I now work as a consultant and as a coach, and I wear several hats, but the two main hats I wear the first is as a women leadership coach, where I empower women to lead themselves so they can lead others. And I do that through my coaching and mentoring. The second major hat that I wear is as the lead productivity coach in the productivity company, where we work alongside organizations to help their staff improve their productivity. I'm also a writer, I'm a speaker, I'm a trainer, I'm a podcaster. I run a CIC called My Little Warrior Child to support bereaved parents on their grief journey. And that's because I went through a form of bereavement a few years ago when my baby boy passed away. I'm a wife and a mom of 4. One of them lives in heaven, like I just mentioned. And there's so many other things that I do. But I share all of this to say that even though the life that I live is busy and probably the same as yours, I feel humbled to say that I live a productive and purposeful life. And that's because I've been able to use the power of no. Like you, I'm pulled in several directions: work, family, other responsibilities. But I want to be able to show you today that it is possible to use this power of no in order to prioritize what is important to you so that you're not stressed out and you're doing the things that you love. So we're going to look at some points, and then I'll be sharing some tips on how to say no without feeling guilty. There was a survey that I found done by Reed, where they surveyed 1,000 PAs to discover what the top challenges they faced at work were. And the top 2 challenges they faced were managing a heavy workload and balancing work and personal life. And I'm sure that you can probably identify with these 2 challenges. From the nature of the work PAs and EAs do, there's a lot of juggling acts, right? I'm sure you agree. Sometimes long hours, sometimes disorganized bosses. Sometimes you find that you're constantly pulled in different directions, which contributes to the pressure that you feel. In the evenings, you find yourself checking your emails. When you're on holiday, you are checking in to see what's going on at work. And there's this thin line, in fact, bloodline between your work and your private life. Now, I'm sure that there's so many other issues you face at work, but the crux of it is that there is a direct link between these challenges and how PAs or EAs manage themselves and maximize their time. So if you're not maximizing your time, it probably means you're overwhelmed and stressed out. And hopefully, I'm hoping that some of the points that I share with you today will mitigate these external challenges when you begin to take control of your time. Now, the truth is, much more than ever, it is important for us to be able to say no. But in reality, it appears that we are not able to say no because work needs us, family needs us, and there are other responsibilities that demand a whole lot from us. But until we learn how to say no, and until we learn how to invoke this power of no, we will continue to be stressed and overwhelmed, doing too much in such little time. We will find that our energy is depleted because we are overwhelmed. And guess what suffers? It is our priorities. Our health will suffer, our well-being, our mental well-being, our emotional well-being, our quality time with family, and our health gets to suffer. Interestingly, most children go through a phase where their favorite word is no. For any moms in the house, you can probably identify with this. I know my children had a phase, I think maybe about when they were 2 or 3 years old. Everything was no, no, no. And it was almost as if they discovered the power of this word and the boundaries that they were setting for themselves. They were able to identify, it was almost like an awareness that came upon them, being able to say no to the demands that were being placed on them. Saying no gives a definite sense of self and can also be an ideal opportunity to discover the sense of who you really are. Our mental health requires that we say no to the things that are stressing us out. We need to release ourselves from the burden of pleasing others and give ourselves more time and freedom to do what really matters to us. It's not selfish to say no. In fact, it's empowering, because when you're saying yes to what is priority for you, you're saying yes to your health, you're saying yes to your well-being, and you're saying yes to the things that you love and that matter to you. Okay, now it's possible that most of you listening to me today are women. We'll probably have a few men in the house listening. That's fine. But I thought it would be good to touch on this point, because research has shown that a lot more women find it more difficult to say no. And why is that? Before I touch on the key reasons, it stems from the conditioning of society and culture. Girls across different cultures, different backgrounds, find that they have been brought up to think that other people's needs are more important than theirs. I'm not sure why this is, right? We've been brought up to be nurturers, to be helpers. And probably that's one of the reasons why you became a PA, because you wanted to help and you wanted to assist. The other reason is because we are afraid. Deep down, we are afraid that we will hurt another person's feelings. We're afraid of conflict. We're afraid of confrontation. We're afraid of being abandoned or rejected. And sometimes we feel that because when we say no, people are going to think we're not nice or we're not friendly. And we'll talk a bit more about our beliefs. Like I said, most girls growing up were taught to be nurturers, we were taught to be helpers. But then in trying to carry every other person's burdens and being helpers to others, our health is suffering. There are consequences to our well-being and also our values. Society also doesn't help, because women feel that if they say no, especially at work, there's a risk of receiving a poor performance review or receiving fewer recommendations or thinking that, oh, she's not capable, she can't handle it. So you end up saying yes to all of these demands at the detriment of your health. The struggle is real, but the key here is to strike a balance. So let's do a quick check-in. You probably have a pen and paper or pad. If you don't, maybe, use your phone to do this quick exercise. What is one thing you need to say no to right now? You probably have a long list, but choose one. Just choose one on the list. What is one thing you need to say no to right now? Write it down. I'll wait while you write. Okay. Have you written that down? Now, I want you to ask yourself, what is currently stopping me from saying no to this thing? Is it fear? Is it something else? I want you to keep that at the back of your mind as we continue with the rest of this session. Okay, now, if you don't take anything away from my session, I want you to take this away, because it's going to be a game changer. This is a no checklist or a guide which will help you know when to say no. Because sometimes you're like, oh, I feel I shouldn't say no. I don't think I should say no. This checklist is going to help you. You absolutely must say no if you encounter these three things. First, when you're already doing too much. 2, when you're stressed out or overwhelmed. And 3, when you are tired or sick. You must say no. Now, except of course, there's something else you can take off your plate in the case of you already doing too much. If there's something else you can take off your plate, then you could say yes. But if there is no wiggle room to take anything else, then please, you must say no. And don't worry, I have a few scripts that I will share with you as we go along to help you say no without feeling guilty. You also have a right to say no when it's someone else's issue, when it's something you don't want to do, when there's something else you rather do, when it takes away from your priorities or your values, when you think you're being taken for granted, or when you need some time to yourself. Please, you have a right to say no. You might choose not to exercise that right, but know at the back of your mind that you have a right to say no. When it's someone else's issue, when it's something you don't want to do, when it's something you rather, when there's something else you rather do, when it takes away from your values or your priorities, when you think you're being taken for granted, and when you need some time to yourself. Okay, so this checklist is something that I want you to hold on to. Now, we all have beliefs about different things in life. We all have our beliefs about saying no or saying yes. We have our beliefs about people who say no and people who say yes. And this could be based on our culture, our upbringing, our religious beliefs, or the environment we grew up in. In order for you to change your beliefs, you have to know what you currently believe about saying no. So here are some questions to consider to help you understand your beliefs. What do you think about people who say no? What do you think about people who don't say no? What do you think about people who say yes? What do you think about people who don't say yes? Hopefully, I know you might not have a lot of time to figure that out now, but after this session, think about if you can screenshot this and answer these questions. They are important. Our beliefs about others or our judgments about others is usually a reflection of how we judge ourselves or how we think others judge us. And so if we think that that someone who says no is mean, we then believe that if I say no, people will think I'm mean. Or if you believe that people who say yes are pushovers, you would also think the same. Like if I keep saying yes, people might think I'm a pushover. Or on the contrary, if you think people who say yes are lovely and nice and dependable, you think if I keep saying yes, people will think I'm dependable. So knowing the answers to this question will help you figure out your current beliefs about saying no. And you can change those beliefs knowing that your values are important as well. The yes trap. Now, being caught in the yes trap is usually about saying yes to a request now to a commitment required in the future. So someone comes along and is like, oh, there's this thing happening in 3 weeks' time. I need you to sort it out, or I need you to be there. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And someone else is asking for another commitment in the future. And you say yes to all these commitments. And then when the future comes along, you're stressed, you're overwhelmed. And why do we do this? Why do we say yes now to something in the future? It's usually because we don't want to miss out, or we don't want to hurt another person's feelings, or we don't want people to dislike us or think that we're being unhelpful, or you don't want people to think you're being selfish. Again, it comes back to your belief system around saying no or saying yes. But my question to you is, at what cost? It all comes back to your beliefs. Like I said before, our beliefs about others or our judgment about others is usually a reflection of how we judge ourselves or how we think others judge us. So how do we get out of the yes trap, where we're not constantly saying yes to future requests? It's by asking yourself an empowering question. What is my yes costing me? I'll say that question again. What is my yes costing me? Understanding this is an essential step to saying no and valuing your own goals, your own needs, and your time. Another question to ask yourself in order to get out of the yes trap is, if I say yes to this thing, what will suffer? What will suffer if I say yes to this request? Like I said, I'll be sharing some few scripts with you that would help when it comes to saying no. Now, I love this bit. In order to say no, you need to know your priorities. So this is the other no. Because how can you say no when you don't even know why you're saying no or what you should be saying yes to? In order to say no powerfully and effectively, you need to be in touch with what is important to you. You need to know your priorities and values in life and at work. And what are our priorities? Our priorities are the areas of our lives that are meaningful and important to us. It's usually much easier to say no to what is not in alignment with your goals or your values or your priorities when you are clear on what your priorities are. Now, what are some examples of priorities? And caveat, everyone's priority is going to differ. It will differ on the season of your life. A single lady is going to have different priorities, most likely going to have different priorities from a married woman. Someone who cares for a loved one who's unwell might have different priorities from someone else. So your priorities is going to differ from mine. The key thing is to know your priorities. And what are some examples? Some examples could be work-life harmony, work-life balance, career progression, increasing your income, personal growth or development, building relationships at work or at home or outside of work, quality time with your family, quality time with your children, with your spouse, caring for a loved one who's unwell, buying a house, supporting a charity, starting a business, exercising, sleeping well, your mental well-being, doing actual work and not just meetings. Now, I share these examples just to kickstart, the thoughts in your mind, because you might be like, oh, I'm not quite sure what my priorities are. And so to discover what they are, you need to dig deep. You need to ask yourself, what is important to me right now in my life? Is it my family? Is it making more money? What is important to me? How would I like to spend more time? Where and with who would I love to spend more of my time? What is my top priority for the rest of the year? What is my top priority for the rest of this month? What is my priority for 2024? If you still feel unclear about what your priorities are, this is where a coach like myself can come in to help you distill and get clear on your priorities. Okay, now let's move on to the 4 powerful scripts that I mentioned that would help you say no without feeling guilty. The first script there is keep it really simple. This is you saying no after you've gone through that checklist I shared earlier. So simply say, thank you for asking or thinking of me, but I'll pass on this occasion. You don't need to give an explanation as to why you're passing, giving the request a pass. And I think this is where many of us miss it. We think, oh, I need to give an explanation. You really don't. You don't. Let your no be simple. This other script, the second script, is for where you have a prior engagement. You already have something you're doing at that time, and so you can't take that on. And this also goes back to you knowing your priorities and knowing what you are focused on. So it's simple, sorry, but I'm already doing XYZ, so I can't do this. I have an appointment, I have a meeting, or so whatever it is, fill in the blank. The next script is for you to buy time. This is when you are unsure or need time to prepare a response. Make it a point, though, to get back to the person. So the script is, I'm away from my desk right now. Can I let you know once I have my diary in front of me? Or, I'm in the middle of something, a tight deadline. Can I get back to you tomorrow or next week? Like I said, make sure you get back to the person. And then the last one is for requesting priority. Use this especially when you're working with your boss, especially if they're disorganized, or they've given you so many tasks to do and you're overwhelmed and not quite sure which one to focus on. Push it back to them. So the script is, which one would you like me to focus on first? Or, I'm happy to work on this now, but what would you like me to stop working on? I love this script particularly because it helps your boss also to learn what to prioritize before they bring, the different tasks to you. It might be hard, especially if you're used to saying yes, but I'll share a few tips on how to ease into start saying no. The first tip is that always tell the truth. Be truthful. There is nothing worse than being caught out in a lie. But this doesn't mean you can't leave out critical information or other information that might prevent the person from trying to persuade you to say yes. Okay? So, for example, if it's your me time, you don't need to say, oh, it's my me time, so I can't come. You don't need to give that information. Keep it simple. Remember script 1, keep it simple. Timing can be everything. No does not mean no forever. Sometimes you just need time, or the circumstances just need to be right. So don't allow yourself to be pressured into giving a response if you are not ready. Remember the yes trap? Avoid the yes trap. Sometimes you just need to figure out, is it really a no, or is it a not now, or a never? You want to be firm when you're saying no. Be gentle, but firm. People who are used to you saying yes will try to persuade you to change your mind. Don't get drawn out into arguments or discussions. Stick to your script. Don't add more to the script. Just stick to the script, be assertive, and eventually the person will catch on and go, ooh, there's something different about this lady. She's saying no more. So how can we begin to practice saying no, especially if you've been a yes boss or a yes man person or a yes woman? The truth is, as you begin to say no, you will feel uncomfortable because you're used to saying yes. So those beliefs, the beliefs will come into play and make you think, no, don't say no. But ease into the discomfort. Choose to see the discomfort as a sign that you're growing and that you're making important positive changes in your life. Evaluate each situation. As with most things in life, there is no one size fits all. Everything will depend on the person, the request, what's going on in your life, your priorities, the person asking, the history you have with them. All of these things, take all of these things into consideration, and also remember the no checklist. Don't forget your no checklist. Baby steps. If in the past you're used to saying yes, gradually, begin to say no to smaller things and then work your way up from that. So practice on the small things and then work your way up. Soften the blow. Don't suddenly go all out and then begin to say no, right? Be gentle in your approach, but be firm. Of course, it's going to be a shock to people, especially those who are used to you saying yes. So find a way to be gentle, but firm in your tone. Visualize. Try to imagine yourself as someone who is comfortable with saying no. Practice in front of the mirror. Rehearse difficult situations. Use your script. Practice your script before you get into actual situations. And when no is the right thing for you to say it pleasantly, say it with conviction, and say it with, be assertive when you say your no. If it leaves you feeling good and strong about yourself, even if you feel a little guilt, you have made the right choice for you. So this is it. This is all from me today. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come be a part of the summit. I've loved getting to share this with you, and I hope that you've learned something valuable from this session. In summary, saying no is a skill, and the more you practice saying no, the better you'll become at it.